So hi guys, so this is a nice little Women in Business podcast segment that we're bringing to you today. I am Jamie. I know a lot of you guys have heard me in the background of our other podcasts, but today you actually get to see me on camera. Hi! So today I have with me Georgia, who is our events executive, and I also have Lydia, who is also our events executive, and we have lovely guest panelists from KPMG, Sophia and Sarah.
Hello.
Hi. How's everyone going?
Great, good to be here.
So how do you guys find being like women in business world like?
Yeah, good question. I think it's actually a little bit hard to tell at this stage, like the difference between being a woman in business and, you know, being a man or whatever gender you identify as in business, because as grads we really all are afforded 50-50, really equal opportunities. You know, there's equal representation in grad numbers, and at KPMG the firm is really big on gender equality, gender diversity, and meeting those targets. So I would say so far at KPMG, my experience as a woman in business, not that I've been there that long, has been really positive, and
Yeah, I'd probably echo that. I've had quite a positive experience within my firm. I can't say the same with all of my clients. I work with quite a diverse range of clients, and some are quite traditional. So I think we've definitely come a long way, but we've got a long way to go. But my employer supports me as a woman in business heavily, I would say. Is the best way I could probably describe it.
I wanted to ask about like how it was the workplace culture. Like, did you stumble on it and was it shocking, or was it like compared to like did you guys have like casual jobs or something like before a professional firm?
Yeah, I have worked at a small boutique firm, or I worked there for not even very long, but while I was at uni, and I definitely in that firm didn't feel respected. I felt like quite a disposable uni student, really, who wasn't worth much, and was really just there as cheap labour. But at KPMG, that's completely different. I feel completely valued, respected member of the team, despite the fact that I don't really know much about what I'm doing. But everyone really makes the effort to show me and tell me that my efforts are appreciated, and that they really respect the work that I'm doing and are happy with my progress.
I probably had a similar experience. I had 2 retail jobs prior to working at KPMG, and one of them at 18 they made me a supervisor and department manager, and which was really great for me, but also I was managing people who were the same age as my parents, and I was a woman. So the combination of the two could be quite difficult. Whereas I contrast that to KPMG, I'm a lot younger than a lot of my colleagues, but I'm still treated equally, regardless of gender and age. I'm still treated with respect, and I'm still given the same responsibilities as people who are older than me and different gender to me. So that's probably a reflection on the company culture, which I think is a great thing as well.
I just had a question about just in general in work life. Do you feel that you have to work harder than some of your male colleagues, or maybe not you yourself, but maybe if you've seen it happen in workplaces or something similar before?
I don't personally feel that at KPMG at all. Just trying to think on different workplaces. I also had retail jobs through uni, and in those roles, clothing stores, jewellery brands and things like that, they tended to be heavily female oriented, and I actually found in those roles a lot of the cattiness, for want of a better word, came from other women. So I think actually that's one of the problems to be considered is how women treat other women in business. I think there can be a culture of tearing other women down in some places. Luckily not where we are now, in my experience anyway. But definitely going through uni and working in stores like that, I struggled with that. But I'm not sure if it can necessarily be attributed to gender or just the store that I was working in, but yeah, something interesting I've noticed.
I think in my experience, some of my best mentors and supporters in my current workplace are women, and maybe I might I think work hard is like a funny way to put it, but maybe I work longer hours or do more work than my male colleagues. But that's not because I'm trying to prove something. That's like a choice thing. Like, I like to overdo it, and whereas they probably take a more chilled, relax, and maybe that is something that's inherent about us in general. Like, we like to overdo it and like outperform, but I've never felt pressure to be like, oh, to show that I'm better than them. I just like to do it, and I think that also says a lot about work ethic of women in general, especially in business.
Do you have like any management, like women that are like managers that have potentially like young children and stuff? Because I've always wanted like, okay, I want a career in business, but how can you have a family and still like be present at work?
Yeah.
Like, I think like managers that have like families, children and stuff that...
Definitely. In the broader team in tax where I work, a lot of the female managers and directors have children, and KPMG is really, really good with flexible working arrangements, and that's really come out through the COVID pandemic. The firm's really good at, like, you know, say you want to drop your kids to school in the morning or pick them up a bit early, that's totally fine. You can leave, in my experience, whenever, if there's things that you need to do, if you make up the hours when it suits you. There's a real culture of building work in around your life and your other commitments, rather than pushing everything out and fitting everything in around work.
Yeah, I think that there's that quote that you don't live to work, you work to live. Something like that. Anyway,
Sounds good.
But one of our partners, she's got a son. There's about 4 or 5 women in the audit division who work part-time as senior managers, as they have children. They're quite strong, not only for women, for accommodating children, but for men as well. We have paternal leave that's quite flexible. Like, one of the directors, he's just had another baby, so he works part-time at the moment. He just works like 9 till 2 or something like that. I know another manager, he starts at 9:45 because he drops his kids in the morning and his wife picks them up, so then he works a bit later. So I think that's another thing, like they're able to make that work around you guys, which is something that's really important.
Yeah, accommodating their employees and what makes their employees happy and what their employees' other commitments are is a real focus.
Everything's negotiable and adaptable at the end of the day, especially like with the technology we have now.
And I think that that's quite comforting, actually, being a woman working at a firm like that. You know, you understand that if in the future you want to have a family, it's not going to hinder you in any way. Like, the firm's there to work around you and support you.
It's also important to mention, I don't think males progress because it's quite a promotional culture. I don't think that males progress more because they don't have babies. Whereas, like, I see that in some other workplaces. Like, people go on maternity leave and come back and they've been promoted. Like, it's not like a negative thing, which is, I think, is really important, because I see that happen at a lot of my clients who aren't as forward thinking. Like, they're just like, oh, they're going to have a baby, they're not going to be available as much. Whereas they're like, we can work around that kind of thing. Like, just because you work to part-time doesn't mean you can't be equally have that promotion opportunity.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important as well.
Following on from that, do you find that there's a lot of stigma towards the women who do want to go have kids compared to those who don't? Like, the ones how women who don't have children, they're hard working, they're so focused, they don't care about anything else in their life. And then you've got the women who have had children and are then not as focused because they're thinking more about their kids and wanting to get home to their kids, that sort of thing.
I haven't experienced that directly. There's no one in my team actually who's a woman and has children, actually, so I can't really comment on that. But in my experience, I don't think so.
I mean, it can make things difficult on a team level when someone's unavailable 2 days of the week, or they're not available after 6 and they only come back online at like 9 p.m. because that's what they can do. But there's always enough people in the team to work around it. It's never held against somebody, because you have to be reasonable at the same time. Like, and that's also regardless of gender. Like, you can just be reasonable about, okay, that person has children, so we can all stay here and do this, but when they come online later, they can do that. Like, kind of delegating things based on what people can do, because even some days it might be that someone who's single who doesn't have kids is like, oh, I'm sorry, I have this commitment to my netball team or something like that. So I think that's probably the way we're looking at it now. It's just a commitment that you have. It doesn't mean, oh, it's because you have children, because everybody has their commitments that they strive to for their well-being. So that's just what that person's commitment is, I guess.
Alright, well, that's pretty much all for us then. Thank you guys so much for coming on and joining us and answering our questions today. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.